I spent the entire night sewing my daughter's wedding dress. When I handed it to her, she said, "A dress for poor people," and threw it in the trash. I stayed silent. But on the day of the celebration, when I walked into the hall, she almost fainted when she saw. My name is Naima Wanjira. I am 43 years old, a tailor and designer from Nakuru, Kenya, a single mother who raised her only daughter with my own hands. I built a small bridal sewing shop from nothing, stitching dresses for women who dreamed of love. While my own life was filled with heartbreak, my husband abandoned me when my daughter Zuri was only 3, leaving me drowning in debt and shame, but I worked, day and night, to give her a life that looked nothing like mine. I always believed that the greatest honor of my life would be sewing her wedding dress. I still remember the night before everything fell apart. I was sitting in my tiny sewing room, the yellow lamp flickering, my fingers aching from hours of hand stitching. I had chosen the fabric with so much love, a soft ivory satin with delicate lace I had saved for 10 years. I added beads one by one until my vision blurred, but every stitch carried a memory, her first steps, her first school uniform, her first heartbreak, all sewn into one piece of love. When morning came, my back hurt and my eyes burned, but my heart was full. I folded the dress carefully and went to her apartment, excited like a child with a secret gift. Zuri opened the door, her hair in perfect curls, her nails done, her eyes full of the coldness that had grown between us ever since she got engaged to a wealthy family she wanted to impress. She barely let me step in. I showed her the dress, my hands shaking with pride. She took it, held it up, and then something inside her snapped. She said, "This is a dress for poor people, Mum. Do you want me to be embarrassed?" She was so loud that even her fiancé Ezra walked out from the bedroom. He looked at me with forced politeness. Zuri then threw the dress straight into the trash bin in front of me, like it was nothing. I felt something inside my chest break, but I did not speak. I simply nodded and said, "All right, my daughter, if that is how you feel, I will not force you." But deep down, I felt the earth shifting beneath my feet, like a storm was gathering, something unexplainable and painful. The wedding preparations became worse. She stopped answering my calls. She insisted I not come to fittings. She told everyone that her future mother-in-law would handle the luxury dress. It was embarrassing, humiliating, but I still stayed quiet, because mothers swallow pain to protect their children, even when it kills them slowly. 3 days before the wedding, I went to her future in-law's house to drop a small box of jewelry that belonged to my grandmother, hoping she would at least accept that. But when I walked in, I heard voices in the kitchen, voices that froze my soul. Zuri was crying, saying, "I wish she would just stop breathing. She is ruining my image. I hate poor people attitude. She is too clingy. Let her stay away." I felt my knees weaken, but I did not walk in. I quietly placed the box at the door and left, with my heart bleeding but my face dry. On the morning of the wedding celebration, something inside me snapped, not with anger, but with clarity, a strange painful strength, a strength that comes from years of sacrifice going unnoticed. I took a deep breath, removed my old sewing apron, and for the first time in years, I dressed myself like the woman I used to dream of becoming. I wore a gown I had secretly designed for myself months earlier during a lonely midnight, a gown I never had the courage to wear, deep emerald green satin, hugging my curves, flowing behind me like a river of pride, my hair straightened and pinned with golden clips, and jewelry I had kept hidden for special moments. I looked at the mirror and saw a woman who deserved respect, not tears. When I arrived at the grand hall, everyone turned. I felt their eyes crawl over me, confused whispers spreading, and then suddenly, silence. Zuri looked at me from across the hall and nearly fainted. Her champagne glass slipped from her fingers, crashing on the floor, her face drained of color. Her groom looked at me with shock, and his mother stared as if she was seeing a ghost, because they had never imagined the poor tailor mother could look like the most elegant woman in the room. But that was only the beginning. As I walked further, I saw something that made my breath catch. Ezra, the groom, was not staring at me like a mother-in-law should be looked at. No, he stared at me like a man who had seen someone he once loved, someone he lost, someone he regretted losing. Because the truth I had kept buried for 20 years rose to the surface like a beast. Ezra was not a stranger, he was my past, my secret, my first love, and Zuri never knew that the man she was marrying was once the young man who broke my heart long before she was even born. He left me for wealth and status, telling me a tailor's daughter did not deserve him, and fate had brought him back into my life in the most cruel way. He had recognized me earlier, I could see it in his trembling hands, but he had pretended not to know me, until that moment in the hall, when he finally whispered, "Naima, you, here." I felt my soul shake. Zuri's rage exploded. She demanded, "Why are you dressed like this? What are you trying to do? Why is my fiancé staring at you like that?" The hall went silent, her voice cracking with jealousy and fear. Her fiancé's mother pulled her aside, whispering urgently, but Ezra kept staring at me with guilt and desire, like he wanted to reach out and touch the past he threw away. I kept my voice calm and said, "I only came to celebrate my daughter's happiness, nothing more." But Zuri screamed, "Don't lie, you are trying to humiliate me, you are jealous of me, poor people always get desperate." I clenched my hands, fighting the urge to cry, but before I could speak, something unexpected happened. One of Ezra's cousins stood up and said loudly, "Jealous, your mother looks like a queen, and you treat her like trash." And then another guest added, "Is that how you treat the woman who raised you alone?" Murmurs filled the room. Zuri's fake confidence began to crumble. But then the twist came, one I never expected. Ezra's mother approached me and said, "Naima, I know everything, the whole family knows you were his first love. I was the one who told him to leave you. And now the cycle is repeating, him again marrying someone who does not respect where she comes from." Then she looked at Zuri with disappointment, and the hall erupted into whispers. Zuri lost control, crying, screaming, and throwing accusations. She shouted, "If you loved my mother so much, then why marry me?" Ezra finally broke his silence. "I did not know she was your mother, but yes, I never got over her." The hall gasped, and Zuri collapsed on her knees, humiliated and heartbroken, her dream wedding burning before her eyes. But fate was not done with her. The final blow came when the projector suddenly turned on. The wedding planner had mistakenly connected the wrong slideshow, and instead of romantic pictures, private footage began to play. Footage of Zuri kissing another man at a hotel 2 nights earlier, footage she had recorded thinking no one would ever see it. The hall erupted in shock. People gasped, Ezra's face hardened, Zuri screamed, "No, stop, stop," but the damage was already done. Ezra walked out, ending the wedding right there. The crowd scattered, whispers filled the room like poisoned wind. My daughter looked at me with broken eyes and whispered, "Mum, please help me, please fix this." For the first time in her life, I did not move, I did not reach out, I simply said, "You taught me what you think of poor people. Today you will taste what cruelty feels like." She cried harder than I had ever seen, but I turned away, calm, steady, reborn. As I walked out of the hall, every step felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. Outside under the dim evening lights, Ezra followed me. He tried to apologize, he tried to explain, he tried to touch my hand, but I stepped back and said, "You and my daughter are mirrors of each other. Your worlds are built on pride and shame, and I refuse to be part of it." I left him standing there, broken by the ruins of his choices. When I reached home, I opened the trash bin, removed the wedding dress she had thrown, dusted it off, and hung it in my shop window, with a small handwritten sign, "Stitched with love, rejected by pride," and women passing by stopped and cried without even knowing the story. My daughter moved back into her small apartment in shame, her engagement ruined, her reputation shattered, and I did not console her, because this was the revenge life had prepared, silent, painful, unbearable. And me, I kept working, sewing dresses, becoming stronger, and for the first time in years, I slept peacefully, knowing that sometimes, the most powerful revenge is simply walking away, beautifully, gracefully, and letting life reveal the truth that pride always hides. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And tell me, what would you have done if you were in my place?